everybody. Welcome to Relly's Reality Rundown, where I discuss reality TV topics. So, welcome to Relly's World. Hey! So, listen, I have been trying to start a YouTube video, a YouTube channel for, I don't know, 5 years. And just every time I get ready to do it, something gets in the way. But I've decided, I'm just gonna do it. And so why not? Everybody's been talking about Love is Blind. I watched the first season and I really enjoyed it. And I think what was it, Cameron and somebody else, they got married and it seemed to be okay. What did I love about Love is Blind? I loved the idea of actually getting to know someone sight unseen, because let's be honest, looks play a part, right? Like if I'm attracted to you, if I think you're attractive, I will take up, or I'll put up with a lot more than I think I would if I wasn't attracted to you. So this way you get to know somebody, right? Like you get to see their true personality, right? So that's what I love about it. So I binge watched it, started last night, and then I went to sleep. And y'all, I have been up just plowing through it. And so I ended up like actually watching, I think the couples had been paired. I didn't see when they went off to wherever they went. But I'm at the wedding stage, right? Like I just thought I'd jump in. But let me tell you, I super duper uber loved the wedding of AD and Clay. So let's just get into my thoughts. Okay, great. So I want to say number one, I'm a Black woman, right? So I think about and see things through the lens of a Black woman in America. And there are just certain things that stick out to me. So I'm gonna talk about that. Number one, I knew Clay was gonna say no. I knew it. I knew his mama knew it. I knew his dad was thinking it, and that's why I was trying to give him the pep talk. But I knew Clay was gonna say no. But let me tell you something. He did absolutely everything right in order to say no. He did it right. He was supposed to say no. He was not supposed to get up there. And I get it. It's super hard. Everybody's looking at you, but wasn't that the process? That was part of the experiment, was get up there and make a decision. And he made a decision and it was the right decision. Um, so what did I so there were some things, right? My spidey senses started to tell me some things, and then it finally revealed what I had been thinking all along. Was that she kept saying, AD kept saying, like, stick with me, kid. I'll take you to the moon. Like, I can do this. She was going to do all of the work. She let him know, like, if you just choose me in this moment, you don't got to do much else. And she was gonna do herself a disservice. So, again, I'm super glad that he said no. In the end, we learned that she was like, she says, he didn't pick me, right? Like, what do I keep doing wrong that makes people not pick me? And you know, I listen, I've been that girl, right? I've been that girl that wanted to be picked, that kept feeling like I got picked over. And truth be told, I married the first man that actually picked me. And let me tell you something. Um, what do I want to say? Like, it didn't serve me well in that moment, right? Like, let me tell you this, I gave the ultimatum and he obliged, right? He met the demand, and great, and we got married. And we had two totally different expectations of what marriage was, right? And so it ended up playing out the way that it played out, and we are now divorced happily, but we are now divorced. But I had a lot of insecurities that in the marriage, um, I want to say were exacerbated. So I'm saying, AD, he did you such a huge favor, because the truth is, my love, I think you still have a little bit of work to do, because you need to be in relationship with yourself. You need to choose yourself. See, I've learned to do that today. Today, I have chosen myself. So I'm good no matter who, what, where, when, and how, whoever comes, however they come, I'm good with me, so that I can be in true partnership in a relationship. But prior to that, me just wanting to be picked, and you, AD, just wanting to be picked, you would have picked the wrong guy, right? Like he was so unsure about so many things. You really were going to have to do the work in that marriage. And that's not fair to you. It's not fair to him either, right? Because there might have been greater expectation, or there what how it could have worked out is that he could have done nothing, right? And that could have been the expectation, that he doesn't have to do anything, because remember you said, right, if I choose you, then you'll do all the work. Is that really what you want for yourself, AD? And the truth is, I know that that's not what you want, right? So that's my second thing. I loved, love, 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 love Clay's mom comforting AD's mom. So right before she walked down the aisle, right? And no, I think she started to walk down the aisle. And Clay's mom looked over to AD's mom and she was like, "It's okay, just breathe. It's all right." Loved that. And that again, like as a Black woman, I went, "Come on, sis. There is nothing like a sister girl." You hear me? Somebody who's in the trenches with you, somebody that sees you. I loved that. Um, sisterhood at its finest. I got notes. So if you hear pages turning, that is me with my notes, because got a lot of them. Okay. All right. Thanks. So the other part is they were two strong single women sitting there, right? Like both had been married, partnered, whatever, but they were two women sitting there alone and comforting one another across the aisle. Chef's kiss. Loved it. Okay, so the other thing that I loved, AD starts walking down the aisle. She's so nervous, right? And so shoulders lowered. She is, just you can see the vulnerability, you can see the nervousness all around her. And yet, when she gets to the altar and Clay says to her, like, "You look amazing," she was like, "All right, like, get into it," right? So we see her confidence come back up, and I just love that. And he was like, "The body's bodying," and she goes, "Period." Yes, sis. I love that we get to see her confidence, right, come back through. And so if you just, no matter what you're going through, if you just come back to yourself, right, you'll be all right. And even afterwards, even after he said no and she was devastated as she's walking away, right? She got her strut about herself, like, "Wait a minute, you are right, you are somebody and none of this defines you." I also love that Clay's mom reached out to her even afterwards to give her a hug and comfort her. I just I just love that. I love it, love it, love it, love it. And I love it that it was especially Black women that we get to see comforting one another, showing up for one another, even though, my son made, he broke your heart, but I still understand and I'm here to comfort you. Loved that. Um, so what else? Okay, next one is right. So, like I said earlier, she kept saying that she wasn't enough. Like, "I'm not enough. What more do I have to do?" Nothing. You don't have to do anything else, right? You have to believe that you are worthy, that you are fine, that you are, more than enough, because you are just the way that you are. And what we learned later, right? It was all about him. It was the work that he needed to do. So, it wasn't about, he didn't need you to reassure him and to, promise him that you had him. That comes without saying, right? Like in the relationship and in partnership. Um, so you are enough and you'll always be enough just the way that you are. And the right person will come along and they will see that. Point blank, bottom line, you don't got to change much about yourself unless you want to, right? Like, there's work that I needed to do for myself. And I did that work. But even along the way, before that work got done, there was somebody that wanted to be with me. And guess what? That's great, but it was gonna be just fine if he didn't, you know what I'm saying? Like, cause I got me. I'm good over here, you know what I'm saying? Um, and so I said he did AD a favor. He wasn't ready. And that's the truth. Like, thank God he had the courage to say no. Um, and I wrote down a story like during the course of my first marriage, right? Like, and today, like watching that, I saw my ex-husband in that we had gotten pregnant and we had had a miscarriage. And I wanted a baby immediately. So I looked at my husband and I said, "I want a baby now." And he said, "Not now." And I said, "Well, if not now, never." And he said, "Sherelle, not now." So, okay. I tied my tubes. You hear me? I was like, "Oh, all right, I'll show you." And then because God is divine, right? And everything happens in divine timing, we got pregnant 2 years later. And after a very difficult pregnancy, delivery, long 6.5 month stay in the hospital, our little one was born. Really against all odds. And what is that? She's supposed to be here. So what I am saying from this situation that I know for AD, she's like, well, how come we not married? Like we should be married. You didn't want me. It's just not now, sweet pea. That's all, just not now. And in divine timing, it'll be time. The right person will come along. But he saved you a ton of heartbreak by not getting married, by having the courage to say no. And so you're like, why did you see your husband? Okay, I'm sorry. I went left, but I'm gonna come back right. I saw him because as I was pressuring him, like, I want a baby now. And he was like, not now, Sherelle. Um, and then I heard what I heard in his not now. I heard, you don't want one ever. Right. And so then I made the decision that I made and just, thank God that he knows best or they know best, however you choose to think about God, that they know best, and that they gave me what was needed for us, for she's here, so that's just that. um and I said all of that to say God will give you what you're supposed to have the way you're supposed to have it, and that's just that. Nothing else. The other point that I loved, Clay's dad assuring him, I loved it, right? Like, I loved it. Dad came through. Clay looks up to his dad, but he was also struggling with issues, that he witnessed in his mom and dad's marriage. And so, but he showed up and I just loved it. And he's like, put your arm down and that way your jacket will be on straight. Loved it. Just loved it. Um, Listen, y'all, I think one of the best parts of this, I loved mom and dad talking afterwards. Mom laid it out. Listen here, check this out. That boy, our boy, is up there. He's scared because of what he saw in our marriage. He carried our baggage up there to that altar. She knew, right? And so even when dad was trying to, like, kick a little game to her, like, oh, well, he just got to get a little somebody like you. She was like, who? You had somebody like me, and what you do? Fumbled it, the bag. But also giving him grace, right? She said, listen, I forgave you a long time ago, and I told you that. She was like, but I learned some things and it was hurtful, right? I just loved it, and dad almost crying, just being vulnerable. I think there were so many vulnerable moments here. I just loved to see it. I loved it. um and I just think Rita, class act. Her name is Margarita. One of my best friends, her name is Rita, and I was like, oh, Rita. But I just loved it. Mom was a class act through and through. She didn't, place blame. She said, what we went through, right? And what our child experienced, what he saw, and it's our responsibility to help him through it. You got to have a conversation with him. Love that. I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. What else? Um, Yep. I'm looking at my notes again, right? So, oh, and Clay coming to talk to AD afterwards, right? And he said to her, like, I want to be with you. That's what he said. He didn't say I want it to be over. I want to be with you. He said, but it's irresponsible because he knew what was going on within him and he didn't want to bring that to her. He wanted to be better for her. He's like, I'm gonna go to therapy, like I'm gonna work on it. Thank God. You don't ever want to marry someone that isn't sure, right? Like I said, like I feel like I gave my ex-husband an ultimatum and he met it, but it always lingered in the back of my mind. And that was like something that I always told him, like, I feel like I gave you an ultimatum. And he's like, you can't make me do anything that I didn't want to do, which is correct, right? But I always had this tinge in the back of my mind that I forced him. That's how I felt. I felt like I forced him. And I think other people had planted or helped to water a seed that I had planted. So that was very hard for us to overcome. You don't want that, Pumpkin. And I know we've seen people on Love is Blind. Remember Jared and I forget her name. I think she was Spanish. the Afro Latina chick. I think she's Afro Latina. Maybe she's just Latina. Maybe she's just black. I don't know, but I can't think of her name. But they got married when she was the number two. Like the first girl had turned him away. That was huge. That was hard for them to get over it. That's hard, right? Like in marriage. So he had work that he had to do. And I know, you were like, I can't believe he did this. It just is a not right now. And I know you're thinking like a not now. You're kind of like living out, my Sherelle story. If not now, never. Don't throw away a good situation, for not right now. It doesn't have to be never. It can just be not right now. He wasn't ready. But and you're like, "Well, he played in my face." I think that was one of the things that she said, and I don't think he played in her face. I think he did exactly what he was supposed to do. He went through the process. That's all. And don't, hinder him for going through the process. Don't beat him up for going through the process and exploring and having the courage. He saved you heartache, my love. I swear, I promise you on everything that I love. That's what he did. And so sometimes people, if you guys are in relationship out there, like, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? This was a very short period of time. And I get it. You're like, well, I don't believe in long engagements, but y'all didn't have a whole bunch of time together. You know what I'm saying? You went through the process. Um, and that's what I said. In the moment, all she can hear is that she's not good enough. And that's just it. It isn't even about you, AD. It's about him. It wasn't about you. All about him. But the seed, whatever seed that had been planted about you not being good enough, wherever that came from, this situation definitely like watered that seed. But just hold on, I think it's gonna get better for you. Um, and so this is what I said, it's enough, you're enough. And marriage isn't the goal. And I think that's the other thing. Marriage isn't the goal. Marriage shouldn't be the goal, right? A happy, healthy, reciprocal, respected, um, respectful relationship. I think that's the goal. Partnership, right? Like you want that. Marriage doesn't mean anything, honey. It doesn't. Y'all could have got married and y'all would have had all kinds of problems because he wasn't ready. You know what I'm saying? But if he wants to go and get better and do better and be better and show up better for you in that relationship and give you what you really deserve. See, right now this is what you want, but he want to give you what you deserve. You know what I'm saying? Lean into that. Um, and so there's that, right? Like you've got to be comfortable choosing yourself because you are enough, and everything else it'll be extra. You know what I'm saying? So don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Um and my final notes I wrote, I think AD should continue to date him, right? I think there seems like there's a lot of love there. I don't know, I'm who am I? Just a relationship coach out here, in the world, just trying to help people bring a little, sprinkle of happiness to their world. So, you guys, if you've enjoyed this, please like click a like button or do something else. I don't know what you're supposed to do on YouTube, but please follow for more. And I look forward to seeing you again. I hope that you have a really wonderful day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.